and what the responsibilities are to protect those roads. So there's nothing, I don't see it as onerous or added responsibility. The Public Works Director has that responsibility now. So there's no change. There's no change there. It's just a different phrasing. The intent of dealing with what a through truck meant is because of what the signs say. Through truck traffic is restricted to 34,000 pound gross registered weight. What does that mean? How does somebody know if they're a through truck or not? So the attempt was to put a definition in there to explain what in case somebody asked.
What would you tell them, Chief, if you right now today, if you stop somebody and you ask if they were a through truck? How do you guys explain that today? Or do you stop anybody for it? And I'm asking them, I'm kind of curious what we do today.
We just do a normal investigation like we do to see where they're going.
Which wouldn't change whether it was a definition or not. You'd still have to find out where they were going.
We still have to find out where they're going. We'd probably follow them to where they're going. I mean, it's a long, drawn-out thing. We're not just going to take their word and turn around and drive the other way. I mean, so we'd have to follow them or call somebody or...
Regardless if and I'm asking, regardless of a definition, you still have to find out. You have to determine where it's going.
Yeah. I mean, we're not... Unfortunately, we can't just take their word for it. I mean, anyone that knows that you can't be a through truck can say, traveling through, I'm not stopping, or I am, or they know the rules. And you got to follow up on it, see if they're following the rules.
The benefit of defining that, I think, also too, is to help our local contractors know if they question. When I set out from my business location on Bucks Mills Road or wherever, at the beginning of the day, and my truck is over 34,000 pounds, am I allowed or not? Well, yes, you are. By the clarity that I'm attempting to bring to Article 4, the answer to the question, am I allowed as a local contractor to travel over these roads with a heavier vehicle than 34,000 pounds? The answer is yes, you are. I don't think that answer is clear now in Article 4. So that was my attempt to bring clarity to that one topic. Sometimes it takes a lot of words to be clear. I found in my past practice with dealing with ordinances, if you're too concise, that can be even more confusing than when you have a lot of words to explain something. There's a balance that needs to be found, obviously, but this was my attempt to bring more clarity, as I said, to the confusing language in Article 4 that we have now.
We do have another item on the agenda, because you've got another committee meeting also.
Yep. Well, you want to take another look at it, Jeff, and talk about it at a different time?
Yeah, I need some. I guess I need some guidance as to what the concerns are about what the proposed changes. What's concerning about the language? What's concerning about the objective? I'm just getting that is concerning. Yeah, so I don't know where to go from this.
Okay. No, we'll table it.
We have one more item that we have to. You can table this until the next.
Motion to table the item.
Second.
All in favor?
Which one are you tabling?
The one we're on.
The chapter 4. I'm sorry, chapter 10. I know we're beyond the end of this, when the meeting's supposed, but the language that you had asked for in regard to your proposed council rules changes, from the meeting you had, there was adding notification to the media for special meetings, eliminating this idea of an adjourned meeting with less than a quorum, and then replacing a temporary chair with a deputy chair position that's elected at the same time the chair is at the beginning of each year, so that there's a consistent chain of command in the absence of the chair. And then the last one regards attendance, which can't be made in council rules until it's made in the charter. Right now there's no reference to attendance in the council rules, but there is in the charter, and the proposed change there would change it from allowing 3 consecutive absences to allowing no more than 5 absences from a regular meeting, regular meetings in a year. And those were the items that were raised in your council rules review and Mayor Stewart had asked for the attendance provision at the last meeting to be included, and that would have to go through a charter change before it could happen.
So in the council rules, it talks about absences for different things, but in the charter is where the three
is. And these 2 documents should be consistent.
So, under section 39 in the council rules, a member will forfeit his office or member in addition to reasons noted in section 207 of the town charter for failing to attend 3 consecutive regular meetings of the town council without being excused by the town council. So it's in the rules also. Is that, I guess I need clarification.
Yeah, it's in there, but if we change it to 5, the charter is then not.
So the section 207 of the charter?
Yes, is the one that is
Because the charter supersedes.
the council rules. Well, it's
Or
the
in the
basis on which the rest of your rules are supposed to be.
Thank you.
So we can change that as of November, or propose that change for November if you choose to, and then change the council rules.
Could you clarify what's a regular meeting and what's a special meeting? In the charter,
It's
it says the
defined.
first, the second, and fourth are regular meetings.
The 2nd and the 4th are the regular
Okay,
meetings.
so, but I thought I heard last week that, like this time of year, we have budget meetings. Those are considered special meetings.
That's correct.
When it says it's excused by the council, is that something that's voted on, or is that something that's?
That would be voted on. The purpose behind that, if somebody was ill, if something was in an accident, something,
Yeah.
I would think that there would be a provision that, if someone got disabled for a few months because of some traumatic event, that there
Yeah.
would be a way to accommodate that, as opposed to
A work
simply missing.
requirement.
Yeah.
Will that provision carry forward with a new rule or change?
What's that?
Will that provision carry
It would
forward?
probably need definition.
So I guess that's another question I had, and I think the concept is, the intent is good, it's just the enforcement, again, the enforcement and how you administer it. So, I'm sick, that would be one thing it's voted on. I miss it because of work, is that
So
considered?
that would be another, in my opinion, that would be another vote.
It's just, do we need to list those things, or do we just, I have a fear, as you go down that road, then,
If you wanted to.
so there's
Vote
some
something
things that
out.
are very clear, but there are other things that,
And then, like I mentioned last week, when we look at it, that's 2.5 months of
Mhm.
missed meetings that, again, like I won't rehash, but
Yeah.
that was my impetus behind the time and the type of thing, so.
And that's in a calendar year.
Correct.
So
Is this something we're moving forward?
it's listed on the for the first reading on the regular agenda, broken down by the
Different pieces are
the,
in
the ones that were related to council rules, then the one related to the charter, which is the one with the attendance, because the one related to attendance is not on the council rules because it would make it inconsistent with the charter.
So there's something else that we had talked about that I didn't feel like we clarified completely. That when there's someone that's going to be absent, and then moving that meeting forward to when they're going to come back, I believe that should have to be a majority vote in order to move that council meeting, like all or nothing. Because I feel that when we're making important votes that are going to be close votes, that everyone should have to be there, in the sense of, try to explain this the right way. So if, say, Robert's not going to be here the next meeting, and we have a big vote coming up, I think that everyone should agree whether or not we.
You mean 7-0 agree, or
Yes.
majority?
Yeah. Seven.
Unanimous,
7-0,
you mean.
unanimous. Thank you. That's what I was looking for.
I just want to make sure I understand. We just said, so, let's say we have something coming up,
Yep.
and somebody's not going to be at the next meeting, we know they're going to be out. In order to push that off that next
Yes.
agenda,
Yep.
it has to be, the vote, somebody would propose a vote on
Yep.
it, and it would have to be a 7-0, or whoever's there that night, in order to move it.
Yes.
Otherwise, it stays on the
Yeah.
agenda.
Because I feel that if we don't do it that way, we just do a majority vote, that can affect the actual vote the following week. When the person's.
What happens if 4 people are here? Does that count as 7?
That's unanimous.
Unanimous.
I think it's
Unanimous,
unanimous.
okay.
If you have a
Unanimous
quorum,
is of the,
there's a
if
quorum.
you have a quorum,
Fair enough.
unanimous.
Is that right?
Yep.
If you want, we can table this also, add that provision in as a council rule thing, and do the first reading at the next meeting. If
Yep.
that is that
Motion to table till the next meeting?
okay?
Second.
All in favor? David? Motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second? All in favor?
Call the Infrastructure and Property Committee meeting to order, roll call. I'm here, Paul Bissonnette.
Here.
Paul Govan.
Here.
All right, the first item on the agenda is a Safety Committee recommendation, removal of the basketball hoop, backboard, and pole at Ian's Playground. That's the first item. Just because of their deteriorating condition, I think it seems to make sense. Anybody have any comments or questions about that?
I'm pretty sure that they've been there since I was in school. So. I did have one question: are we going to replace them, or is that something that now is going to be parking lot?
The safety committee, so that you know, consists of myself. The chair is Chief Gagan, Jeff Hammond, Chris Grindle, Chris Connor, Dave Michaud, and Jamie Bowden. And we spoke about it. Really, it doesn't get much use. The backboard itself was of a wooden material. It's got a hole in it, and it's falling apart. Kids use that during the baseball season. We got hoops just down the road at the Jewett School. We got the nice outdoor lit basketball hoop up on Miles Lane. There are enough hoops that missing that one. Shooting hoops when cars are driving around there. The safety committee felt that it just wasn't safe. The condition and the area.
Goes back a lot of memories on that court when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So it sounds like a no-brainer there. The second part is to request to have a plan to put in place to replace the split-faced walls located throughout the town. The rock wall, I walked by those over the weekend, and I see where this is coming from. I actually was going to mention that this week, so I'm glad to see it on the agenda.
Well, that's been taken up by 3 different committees. Economic Development Committee because of economic development reasons. The Adapt Implementation Committee took it up because of, again, the obvious reason for ADAPT. And then the Safety Committee because, as you can see in these photos, the wall is crumbling. It's extending into the sidewalk. This wall right here is Main and Mill Street. You may know it as the Jake's property. This, by far of all of them, is the worst. Every one of these, for the other walls, all the caps are failing. And it's not that the town crew, what's the maintenance plan? Well, the town crew has replaced the caps. It just gets splattered with the road salt I don't even think it's the salt water, because if you look at the conditions of the walls on the walkway with the salt water, they're fine. Maybe a couple here and there, but these are just, it's atrocious, and it's up and down Main Street. So
It
not only
seems
is it,
like the Rosen, on the Rosen corner, they're leaning further
yes.
than they have been in the past.
Yeah. So it's our record. We got to do something with CIP grant. It has to be addressed. Now, one of the things we talked about for the immediate, for up front, would be to put snow fence around the one on at the Jake's property. It's leaning. Now, Jay believes, because of the way that they're made and held together, that they won't topple over anytime soon. But if we put the snow fence right up against it, any pieces that may fall off the top will fall behind the snow fence and not onto people. People have a tendency to go touch them. I mean, they're fragile. You touch them and they just fall. I went by with a pen, tapped it with a pen, and the base, once it lets go, the material inside just drops at your feet. That's a lot of wall in this town.
So that's not something that's gonna get fixed before the summer season. So we're gonna have the snow fence.
Well, we looked into a replacement material, but it would require a significant contract to do that amount, because these are not just stacked up there. The placement of this material is much more complicated than
It goes a few feet
a
into
stack. It
each
goes
of the lengths.
several feet in. But what we have to do is take steps to protect the public just from anything that is falling, and put together some sort of an RFP that looks to find out what the cost for this would be if we put it out as a project, so that we can figure out how we're going to fund it, where it's going to come from, and that kind of thing. So I think that's the next step here, is to do an RFP for, because we have no idea right now what the cost of this kind of replacement would be.
Anybody else, any comments?
You have any idea how many feet?
Gotta make it
total?
safe.
Oh gosh, I went out and I started counting, and I lost track after 300 bricks.
Yeah.
Who did it initially?
I did part of the DOT
Well,
contract.
DOT did it on Main Street, and then the town did it up by the church, up on Central Street, all these other places. The town did that work after the state did it along Main Street. So there's,
I guess my question is, these ones on Main Street,
they're not, once they were installed, they became our issue.
Yeah. We tried.
I like the traffic.
That's it.
Jim?
What was in place for retaining those walls, those areas prior to putting these split-face block?
I know down by the traffic light, I believe that there were big concrete, like
Yeah.
pieces that were leaning.
Yeah.
They were formed.
They weren't solid.
They were
Concrete
solid
wall?
pieces of concrete that were just like that wide,
Yeah.
real big. And they were leaned into the bank and they went around it.
I suggested at the ADAPT meeting the other day that maybe if we put solid concrete walls or cement walls up there, and it'd have a place for Brooke to put her murals, it would kind of kill two birds with one stone, so to speak, and it would probably last a little longer than this would.
Okay.
Even if you went solid and you wanted to, I've seen people do it with their driveways. They do concrete driveways and they stamp them. You could actually do something solid and decorative stamp it if you wanted to. You could probably stamp it to look like that.
It's much more expensive, but if you look at Bangor Savings Bank's deal up there, they've got a pretty substantial project that, it looks good. but
There's a
I'm
house
sure
in town that uses that same material as well on Mechanic Street.
Yeah.
So from the standpoint of what we're just recommending to move forward.
Well,
Council
we
on this, right?
need to evaluate options for replacing those, whether it's looking at the cost of solid face construction, suggested by Mr. Morrison, or the Bangor Savings Bank brick type, which is
Ready Rock.
Ready Rock, that many communities are moving
Okay.
to.
Okay, everybody, we don't need to vote on that or anything like that, do we? Just the next item on the agenda is the Quimby grant, Main Street Bucksport.
Yeah, I'll be speaking to that as
Okay.
well. So what this is it's a $25,000 grant, no matches required. So the reason we bring it forward to the council is it came from the ADAPT Implementation Committee to create a waterfront park. So this would be, $25,000 is not going to get you a lot, but it'll get you started on that route. So if you remember, there was a picture of a place where there was an amphitheater down the walkway as you headed to behind Sawyer's. So the idea is to allow Main Street Bucksport to apply for that grant with the use of the town's land to potentially build 2 bocce ball courts, 1 or 2, whatever the space gives us, maybe some simple play structures, and have some sort of mini study done to make sure that that's all going to work, either through a contract engineer or a landscape architect, somebody to that nature, to have that work done. So the reason we're bringing this to you is to let you know that, one, we'd like to use that land between the tracks and the walkway where the storybook walk was last year, and 2, if Jay's crew can, to help offset some of the cost, and since there is no match with some in-kind, to have them do some of the site work as well.
We have to get permission to remove the tracks before any of that can.
Yeah, this would be on the outside of the tracks, so it would be between the walkway and the tracks, not on the tracks, but that is something that we need to work with as well, so that for future development we can, but in the meantime, so we can hit some low-hanging fruit, this seems to be we'll put the wheels in motion of seeing something from the ADAPT plan come to fruition.
So again, the location, where
It would be right behind Sawyer's and Powerwise.
All right, so coming to the council, then we're looking for council approval to use that land.
This grant is just to allow the application, is what it is, because of its potential.
Okay. So we're not there yet.
Yeah, and they have until April 15th to apply, so everything's pretty much ready. We're just waiting on one more thing that I'm trying to get from Brooke, and to make sure we have your blessing to even use the land for that.
And do drawings and stuff, right? Architectural drawings.
Yeah, it would be architectural drawings of what it would look like with the bocce ball courts and whatnot.
Okay, any questions on that? Any comments? Anything from the public on that? All right, take a motion to adjourn. Second?
Before you do, could you take a vote on whether to approve the
We need a vote.
application for the grant?
For the
Because
grant?
that's the
Motion to
only
approve
place
the
it is.
application of the grant. Second.
We have motion, a second, approve the application of the grant, all in favor?
Otherwise, we can't do
That
it.
was approved,
Thank you.
and we're adjourned.